Here's some detail on the update I'll be making to the electrical system of my plane in order to show the fuel quantity in the header tank. So this B-Light fuel probe, it has got a 3 connector wire that goes to a microcontroller box, which I had to program after I finished building the fuel tank. I programmed it at home so that it would output 0 volts when all the usable fuel was emptied from the tank, and then it would output 5 volts when the header tank was fully fueled. My Dynon EFIS, it actually has a resolution down to 0.1 gallons, so I'll be able to set an alarm if my header tank ever gets down below like 0.9 or 0.8 or something. In order to get this microcontroller hooked up, you need to give it 12 volts and you need to give it ground. And I'll be getting 12 volts from the VPX system, which is my electrical system computer. And then I've got a centralized grounding block behind the panel that I will get the ground from. Then the 0 to 5 volts that the microcontroller will output, in order to get into the Dynon EFIS, it needs to go into the EMS module. And I had to find an appropriate pin that could measure that. This is my current setup, pin 22 and pin 23 for my left fuel level sensor and my right fuel level. 22 and 23 are these enhanced general purpose input pins, and basically they allow you to hook up capacitive sense fuel probes or resistive fuel probes, or like this B-Light is. These things can basically measure between 0 and 5 volts. So I've got another one down here, pin 31, that's not being used anywhere. So I'm going to be plugging in the B-Light into pin 31 on this module. For the electrical system power, my vertical power unit is going to be supplying the 12 volts, and the J10 connector on the VPX system, pin number 2 is right now configured for providing power to my left and right fuel sensors. So I'm going to use pin 2 to also provide power to that B-Light microcontroller, and it allows you to set a circuit breaker value up to 5 amps. Some of the other pins have got different capabilities on them, but 5 amps will be more than enough. Right now it's just set to 1 amp, and I think 1 amp will still be plenty for this microcontroller, but I'll measure it as well. So inside the panel here, this is the EMS module for the Dynon system right here, and this is the 37-pin connector. So pin number 31 is the one I'll be adding the output of the B-Light microcontroller box to. This is the vertical power unit. I'll be hooking up this J10 connector's pin number 2 to the plus 12 volts of the B-Light microcontroller box. That'll give me the power for that. And then over here, this is the grounding block, and so that's how I'll get the ground to it. I ran the wire that goes from the probe to the microcontroller box yesterday, and so I'm going to probably put the box here or maybe over here, screwed into the back of the firewall here. The firewall is made up of plywood, fiberglass, and then there's stainless steel sheet on the front of it, so I can just screw right into the back of it, which doesn't have the stainless steel on it. So I'm getting ready to cut the fuel crossfeed line for the right tank here, and I'm going to be inserting this little adapter here so I can plug it into a line that's going to my header tank. So it's going to be fitting in right there. So I'm just getting the 2 sides of the line clamped because there is fuel in this. The fuel tank is about halfway full, so just don't want fuel coming out everywhere. Alright, so now I've got a little bit of room to work where I can get this cut. I'm going to be putting this plug in this side because I'm not going to need this line anymore. Alright, so this here, get a rag to catch any fuel that comes out. And I put a little tiny bit of this, this is like an O-ring type grease, just to help me get these plugs into the hoses. They are very, very tight. Should work. So there's no fuel pressure or anything on this line. So I'm just gonna have that plug in there just in case there's a little bit of fuel somewhere in there still. Get the clamp. See, I'll put it like that. Yeah, that'll work. And I put just a little bit of this grease. This is a Teflon lubricant. There we go. Then these clamps are 9 to 11 millimeter hose clamps. That's what fits well on these sized lines. And this is the fuel line that actually came with the Jabiru kit, this red line. I bought some more that's translucent blue, and I had to use it in a few places. All right, that is attached now, and then this is going to go into the front connection here, on the header tank. I'm testing out the fuel flow rates now for the front and rear pickups. So I've got the rear one hooked up right now. So this quick connector, and it's just going into this holder here, and just going to time how long it takes for a gallon to come out. So now that I've got these quick connectors for the front and rear pickups, it's going to be a whole lot easier to do this type of testing for my annual each year. Okay, I've got everything hooked up. Let's do our initial test. Go ahead and flip all the avionics on here. Let's see, there's that. So I'm hoping pin 31 shows something. Alright, so here's pin 31, and there is some fuel in the header tank right now. I'm going to disconnect this guy here, or open up this fuel line, I should say, so fuel can drain into it freely. Hopefully that starts going up. Yes, that's looking great. Take a look in the back. That is looking good.